Hi, so thank you for engaging with this online content and this applicant visit day presentation on studying sport and exercise science at Lancaster Medical School. I appreciate the format of this is very different than what would have been intended on a normal applicant visit day. But if you have any questions and so on, please feel free to get in contact with us on the sportsadmit@lancaster.ac.uk email address. So in terms of what we're going to go through today we're going to go through the structure of sport and exercise science here at Lancaster. We'll go through some sample material of what to expect as a student. We'll go through why you should choose to study with us, some study abroad options, and then finally the sports and exercise science scholarships. So overall at Lancaster you will study the three core disciplines, which are anatomy and biomechanics, physiology and nutrition, and psychology. And what's unique about the programme that we have here at Lancaster is we do cover the sports performance elements, so gearing up sports science to support elite athletes. But we also apply these techniques to working in health performance. So how can we help people from an exercise medicine perspective? For example, how can we help people recover from cardiac operations? How can we help people with type 2 diabetes and so on? And this is very important to us here because we know that the job field is far, far bigger in the health performance field than it is in sports performance. So we want to have both of these flavours to the degree programme. So the overall structure of our degree programme. So within the first year, there are these 5-week modules that are split up, that most of them are 8 credits each. So in the first 5 weeks, you'll cover becoming a sport and exercise scientist, which is a little bit like a careers module. So this is giving you an overview from applied practitioners in the field. You'll cover fundamental anatomy with Dr. Sarah Powell. So this is learning about anatomy and actually doing dissections within a lab. And you'll do molecules of life, which is the first of our biomedical and life science modules. And this is giving some of the biology and chemistry underpinning to our degree programme. In weeks 6 to 10, you'll cover experimental design and data analysis. So this is a statistics type module, again, very important for all the data that you'll be collecting in our labs. And the second of the BLS modules, so the biomedical and life science modules, which is cell structure and function. In weeks 11 to 15, so after the Christmas break, you will cover essentials of sport and exercise physiology, and you will cover concepts in sport and exercise psychology. You will then, in weeks 16 to 20, so just before the Easter break, you'll cover introduction to nutrition, public health challenges, and hormones and metabolism. You'll then have the Easter break, and then coming back after that for the summer term, you'll have digital technologies in sport and exercise science and exercise prescription. And just to note to this exercise prescription module, this is a really important component of our provision towards your personal trainer and gym instructor qualifications. So within our program here at Lancaster, we've integrated a level 2 gym instructor and a level 3 personal trainer qualification. And this exercise prescription module is around trying to get some of the practical skills that you need to get those qualifications. If students choose to do this, they pay the examination fee, which I think this year was around £150, but all of the learning has been integrated within our programme. So you're getting what's potentially a £3,000-4,000 qualification with the level 2 and 3 combined for a combined fee of around £150, although this does change year on year. You will also notice that we have professional practice running all the way down this right-hand side. And this is because this module runs throughout the year. So this is giving you things like presentation skills, computer skills, how to build a CV, how to do interview skills, basically a lot of transferable skills that we need for making you employable within the workforce. We feel that it's really important that this professional practice is embedded throughout every year of the programme and throughout the year as well. And this also involves getting work experience and so on, which I'll come into in the second year. So in terms of our taught sessions at Lancaster, typically in the first year they're 5 weeks and they're 8 credit modules, and you'll typically have 4 weeks of teaching followed by 1 week of assessment. Now if we look on the left hand side example in red, we've got essentials of sport and exercise physiology. This would be 2 lectures a week of 1 hour, and then you would have 2 lab sessions per week of 2 hours, and then finally you'd have directed tasks. If we look at molecules of life as a separate type of module, you might have more lectures, so 3 lectures per week, and you would have 1 practical of 2 hours, and then again you would have weekly directed tasks. Now this does vary module on module, but in your first year you should expect contact hours of 16 to 22 hours a week, which is a fairly significant amount of contact, and we know this is very different than a lot of degree programs out there, and this is very deliberate to make our students as competitive in the marketplace as possible. Now, when we think of these taught sessions and the way that this degree program has been structured, the idea is that we cover some of the underlying theory and the knowledge that is required within your lecture. So in this example in nutrition, you'd cover carbohydrates in a lecture. This is then applied into practice. So in a workshop, we might go through, say, glycemic index and glycemic load, and then finally in the practical would actually deliver an oral glucose tolerance test. So there's this complete connectivity from everything you cover in your lectures all the way through to workshops, working in small groups, finally on the end of actually applying this in an applied setting, which is really important. Now, when we get to your second year, you do fewer modules that have got more credits, and there's also your first option modules. So at the core, we've got biomechanics in second year, we've got physiology and metabolism and sport and exercise psychology. We've also got second year research methods and statistics and the current debates in sport and exercise science module. This module in particular is around forming constructive arguments both in written prose and verbally. So there's a lot of transferable skills involved in this, but we cover current topics in sport and exercise science such as therapeutic use exemptions, drugs in sport, differences in sexual development, a lot of different cool topics to kind of cover in that area. Now, what we do as well in the second year is you pick your first option module, and this is either sports medicine, so working down an elite performance pathway, or exercise medicine, which is working down a public health type pathway. And then again, all year we do professional practice. Now, what's good to note in your second year of your program within professional practice is all students have the opportunity to be an applied sport and exercise scientist for one of our university teams. So by your second year, you can actually be gaining a lot of applied practice working with elite athletes. So that we think this is really valuable. And again, something that we're only able to deliver because of the small numbers that we have on our course. When we get to year 3, you pick 2 out of the 3 core modules. So pick 2 out of the 3 of biomechanics, advanced physiology, and applied sport and exercise performance psychology. You pick an option module out of maximizing elite performance. So again, this elite athlete performance track, or optimizing health outcomes that's on the exercise medicine side of things. And you can also pick modules such as medical genetics, biology of aging, and neurobiology that are option modules within biomedical and life sciences. And again, we get professional practice run throughout the year. This is culminating in the hosting of a sport and exercise science-based event. And you'll also do an independent research project on an area that you're really interested and passionate about, and this will be in one of your core disciplines. So when we think of our approach to assessment, as an admissions director, and both as a course overall, we're very aware that people come to us from very different qualifications. So some people do BTECs at level 3, some people do A-levels, some people come from a whole host of different qualifications. So what we've tried to do is balance the assessment so that it's roughly 50% examination and 50% coursework, so it doesn't favour any particular level 3 qualifications. So when we think about this as an example, if we look at essentials to sport and exercise physiology in the first year, 10% would be assessed through online multiple knowledge tests that are done every week to check our knowledge. We have a 50% that would be on a written laboratory report using data collected from the session. So again, trying to get some of that applied practice, collect the data in a lab, learn to analyse it, report on it from very early in your first year. You'd have a competency skills log, like a portfolio, that would be about 10%, and then you'd have 30% as a practical end-of-year examination. Now, this does change depending on the module, but broadly the assessments are 50-50 between examinations and coursework. Employability is really important to us here at Lancaster, because Lancaster overall has got an excellent reputation for employability, which with sports science we seek to uphold as well. To try and achieve these aims, We give you the industry recognised gym instructor personal trainer qualification if you choose to sign up to this through studying throughout your first year of your degree programme. So this is a level 2 gym instructor and a level 3 personal trainer. Now all of the learning is embedded within the course. What our students need to do is just sit the examination that are associated with that particular qualification. But by getting this qualification, it means that our students are then, for example, a qualified personal trainer, able to go and work with a football club, with an elite team, within an NHS setting, and they're actually qualified to do that at some point in their second year. So this is a really valuable thing to have. We also have other professional practice opportunities. So from second year onwards, we encourage our students to engage in any professional development opportunities, such as working with Big Bang, which is the largest science fair in Europe. One of my students has gone to work with Team Nutrition, so this is a sports nutrition company that I work with, developing various nutrition products. And I put these symbols on here for Lancaster University Hockey Club and Lancaster University Boat Club, because these are just two of the teams that our current students are working with. So as I mentioned earlier, students have the opportunity in their second year to go and work as an applied sports scientist for one of our university teams. And some of our current second years are working as applied physiologists and applied nutritionists with these individual teams, trying to provide support to them as an applied sports scientist. So just to go through what you should expect if you choose to come and study here at Lancaster. So in the first week, we have team building activities. Now, for our very first cohort of students, we took them a climb up Helvellyn, which was great as an icebreaker. It was a very nice, good day of weather, fantastic opportunity to get to know our students. In this last year, we took our students to a local ice rink and we went curling. We had staff versus students as a round robin type competition. Again, excellent opportunity to get to know our students and our students to know each other. We're aware that, going to university is a big step. It can be intimidating to some extent, and these team building activities are really important so the students get to know each other, make friends within that first week, and then it just makes the whole university experience a lot more enjoyable. So what I'm going to go through is just some sample slides from some of our lectures, just to give an overview of some of the topics that you'll be covering just within the first term as you arrive at university. So starting off with biomechanics, that's in term 1, you'll cover kinematics. So this is Newton's laws of motion that are describing the motion of bodies. We'll go through forces that cause the motion and linear and angular velocities, such as being described in the series motion analysis on the bottom right-hand corner. We cover centre of mass and centre of gravity. We can do this using timing gates as we've got in the picture in the background. We can also do centre of gravity analysis. So one example is for centre of gravity analysis, our students have been on the climbing wall and the biomechanicists are advised about putting the body into different positions so they can really learn about how shifting centre of mass works in an applied setting. So again, very unique experiences that we can only do in the small groups that we offer. Cover other things such as ground reaction forces and acceleration. So examples we're looking at here are how differences in running heel toe with shoes, say 2.7 meters per second, 5 meters a second, or running at high velocities such as sprinting, and how this changes the amount of forces that are going through individual joints of the body. And this is particularly important when we think about things like injury prevention. We'll go on to cover ground reaction forces and acceleration. So on the right hand side here, we've got the use of something called an opto jump. So this is an infrared piece of equipment which can be used to measure balance, and it can also be used to measure muscle performance in various different ways. This is a fantastic piece of kit that we can use for testing footballers in a very high throughput capacity, and we can also use it in clinical settings for assessing the balance of elderly people, just as one example. If we then look at some of the other content that you'll be covering, again in your first term you'll be covering anatomy. So you go through things like what is cartilage, what's a joint cavity and a capsule. You go through what's synovial fluid and how these are integrated within the body. You go through different planes of the body, so lots of different information here. We'll go through some actual practicals on synovial joint analysis. So this is an example from our first cohort of students where they do the dissections of various different muscle systems to actually have a see how tendons and ligaments and muscles are working, how origin and insertion points actually work in situ. And the example that we've got on the picture here, we've got Junaid at the front, who's one of the surgeons in the medical school, who's leading some of these dissections. And this is where being part of a medical school is really unique. We have this opportunity to add this unique flavour to our degree programme. So where there's opportunities to integrate colleagues, whether that's in medical ethics, whether it's in anatomy, we do this wherever possible. Again, moving on to some of the other practicals. So within anatomy, you'll cover body composition analysis. So you'll go through doing things like skin fold assessments that we have in the picture here. We'll go through different types of reliability and validity. And of course, our students have the opportunity to actually do these assessments as well. And again, this feeds into the personal trainer qualification that our students can choose to take within their first year. So why choose to study with us? Well, this is, for me, probably the main take-home slide of why I think you should choose to come and study at Lancaster. So we're ranked in the top 10 of the 3 major league tables. So we're 8th in the Times and Sunday Times, we're 7th in the Guardian University Guide, and we're 7th in the Complete University Guide. With the Times and Sunday Times International University of the Year, and then finally we have a TEF Gold rating for our teaching standards. And just to give an overview of this, universities are ranked at being gold, silver or bronze based on the quality of teaching that they give, and we are rated as gold, meaning that we're the best that we can be. Thinking about our specific department, well, to study sports science at Lancaster, you would be part of a medical school, and this is a rare opportunity. There are only 3 medical schools delivering sport and exercise science programs within England, and there is only one at the top 10 university overall, and that's Lancaster. So we believe this is a really unique offering. You'll see on the picture that we've got this long-term investment in the faculty. So in 2020, Sport and Exercise Science moves to its home at the Health Innovation Campus, which is a £41 million investment. Now, whilst most of your lectures will take place on the main campus, this is the home of Sport Science, and it is part of where the lab and the Sports Centre is based. So it's a really exciting time to be part of the faculty. And just at the bottom, while Sport and Exercise Science isn't recorded in any of the league tables yet because we're a brand new programme, we do have this excellent record of student satisfaction within other subjects that are within our faculty. So if we look at biological sciences, we're ranked as 10th. If we look at subjects allied to medicine, we're 5th. And then in medicine, we're 16th in the Times and Sunday Times. So we have an excellent reputation, even though we don't yet have any numbers to report on our actual ranking for sports science. And we're not likely to for at least another 2 to 3 years yet. So another unique offering that we have at Lancaster is within your second year, we allow you to study abroad. Now, this isn't taking a sandwich year between a second and third year. This is actually taking the full second year of your program at Lancaster, but just learning abroad at a different institution. So this is where we've established partnerships with other world-leading universities. I have mapped the curriculum with those. We would only be sending you to world-leading sports science institutions. We're not going to be sending you to anywhere that we don't deem to be world-leading. Students have to be on a 2-1 or higher to be eligible, and it's a fantastic opportunity to just get some really good experience of studying abroad. So fantastic opportunities that are there. The process isn't guaranteed that you would go to the institute that you pick. So as an example, a lot of our students have historically wanted to go to the University of Calgary, for example, but students typically choose, I think it's 3 options, and they are normally offered one of those 3 options that they would pick. What I would advise, if you've got any specific questions about that, you can email me, or alternatively, I can put you in contact with the Study Abroad office that can give you more details about that process. But something really exciting that we have at Lancaster. The other exciting thing to be part of is our state-of-the-art human performance lab. So this was only opened in January last year, and the particular unique take-home message I would like to give you for this is that this is a unique facility that's used for both research, teaching and consultancy. And what's important is that students are using the exact same equipment that I use for my own research and my own consultancy work, exactly the same as the other lecturers. What you will find at a lot of other sports science institutes is that they have separate labs for teaching than they have for research, and the teaching equipment isn't quite as state-of-the-art as the research equipment. Now, we're in a unique position because we're in a very small course. I anticipate in the current September-October intake being probably around 30 to 40 students. We're able to sign off students individually as being competent using this equipment. So we know students aren't going to break the equipment, and we know that they can work with this equipment to the same level of diligence as we as researchers can. And this means that you're able to use this state-of-the-art equipment from your first year onwards. Within sports science, we're very lucky to have these scholarships available for 2020 entry, and this is £15,000 that's available each year for our students. And these come in the format as 5 £3,000 a year scholarships, so £9,000 in total off the tuition fees. These are based on an application. The application form is sent out to all firm and insurance offer holders. It is a competitive process. But it's something that's unique to our department and to our course. So this is separate from things like the unconditional offer scheme at Lancaster and the excellence scholarships. Again, if you have any questions about the scholarships, please do get in touch. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this online lecture. If you have any questions, please email them to us at sportsadmit@lancaster.ac.uk, and we'll get back to you with any queries that you have. Thank you very much.